And the biggest achievement really, I suppose, was that I managed to complete and refinance and get tenanted all of my projects. And that is now cash flowing, giving us a profit of £4,500 a month. It's also allowed me to raise my profile. The opportunities I've had, like being on stage with Simon at Property Magic Live, that was huge and something I would never have considered would have happened this time last year. This will generate an income of £3,565, which will be split at 70% occupancy, and at 100% occupancy will generate over £6,000 a month. And that's after 15% OTA costs as well as 15% management costs. So that's pure profit. Hello everybody, I'm Ruth Hunter and I own Veridus Property. And as you know, I'm based in the beautiful Cotswolds. So how did I get here today and why am I presenting in front of you now? Well, I'll take you back a little bit to last century. And I started my journey, so to speak, into property when I actually qualified as an interior architect from Cardiff University. However, I didn't follow that path and I very quickly ended up in hospitality, working as a conference and banqueting coordinator in a hotel. But I soon found my love for sales as well as events. And so then my journey continued. I got married. I had my first child in 2005. And it was soon after I had Charlie that I realised that my life wasn't conducive with regards to how I wanted it to be. I wanted to very much work around my child. So I decided to set up my own wedding planning company called Finesse Planning. And I worked really, really hard at building up that business. And along came Amelia in 2010. And I then was awarded Best Wedding Planner at the Wedding Industry Awards in 2013, which was a huge accolade and a massive achievement for me with regards to setting up my own company, having 2 children, and then building up a business where I was operating and running wedding and events with more big 6-figure sums. But I soon realised that this wasn't, again, conducive to the lifestyle I wanted. I was away a lot. I was working really long hours and it wasn't really turning into this lifestyle that I wanted. So I started to think, what can I do to create this passive income? And I started to research and came across property and spent a couple of years researching, reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts. And so obviously I'm a bit of a go-getter and a doer. So I went out and purchased my first flip property at auction in 2016. I did that knowing that I was going to learn a lot of lessons, and oh my God, did I learn a lot of lessons. And it was an amazing experience. I learned how to raise funds very quickly. I had to raise £140,000 in 3 weeks and so many more things, but it was an amazing experience. However, I'd also started another company at the same time, which really took off, and it was another wedding and event company, but this time around styling. And so after I completed this flip, I took my foot off the gas with property and concentrated on building that company. And we bought our own family home as well to develop. And then again, I was starting to get towards the end of 2019 thinking, I still want to get into property. So this time I actually started to invest some money into my education, and I purchased Simon's purchase lease option course at the end of 2019. And I started attending my PIN meetings, which I can't believe I hadn't done sooner. But that was one of the best decisions that I made, as I also then won the creative finance course and the prize draw. And I then attended Strategy Implementation Live, which again, really opened my eyes to the opportunities, and listening to other people on stage really drove me to want to do this. Then we all know what happened. COVID hit in March and my wedding business closed overnight. Not only was it illegal for me to go to work, but we were one of the only industries as well where we were actually made to pay back money. So money was a big problem. And then my husband lost his job as he worked in hospitality as well. And we had no plan B, we had no savings to speak of. And so the only decision really was to sell our beautiful 4-bedroom Cotswold country home with amazing views, to use that money to invest into property, which would give us an income. So we sold the house and we used that money to invest into 2 HMOs, which I also used vendor finance and also private funds from investors as well. During that time, I made a contact in supported living who asked whether I'd be interested to work with them. And obviously I was. So the next thing was to find another property, but I had no money. So it was also then to work with an investor, and I found my amazing joint venture partner via Facebook. And I purchased my 3rd property within a space of 6 months with his help of his SAS pension. And as I came to the end of that year, or I came to the end, sort of halfway through that project, I was stood in that house late at night and I got a phone call to say that Simon had awarded me the Mastermind scholarship. And I knew that that was an opportunity that I was just not going to waste. And here I am. And that's why I'm here today. So what have I gained from my Mastermind year? Well, frustratingly, I haven't got a deal over the line yet. But as much as I was thinking, oh, that's such a disappointment, really going back through what I have achieved this year has made me realise it's not all about getting the elusive deals over the line. It's given me time to recover, because doing 3 back-to-back projects within the space of a year, it was hard and I was very physical with the projects and I was basically burnt out. So it's given me an opportunity to recover. I've also gained a lot of encouragement and support and understanding that when things don't go right, it's okay. It's just all part of the lessons and the learning. But having that coach and having the whole group there to keep you going has been really fundamental. Obviously, I've gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of resilience and a lot of determination, because again, being at all of the property events and things like that, hearing other people and what they've achieved has really driven me to carry on. It's also allowed me to raise my profile. The opportunities I've had, like being on stage with Simon at Property Magic Live, you know, that was huge and something I would never have considered would have happened this time last year. And that's given me other opportunities, such I've been interviewed on a number of podcasts, and I've had opportunities to attend other events and be involved in some other really amazing groups. And it's given me an opportunity to find new investors. And I'm very pleased to say that in the last week or so, I've managed to gain another 2 investors to work with. So my main achievements this year, actually, the first one, and this was so fully unexpected, but I was awarded, highly commended, the Best Progressive Social Housing Investor at the HMO Awards. I entered not really thinking that I hadn't had a chance. The other finalists were absolutely amazing. So to get 2nd was just unbelievable, and I'm so proud of that achievement. I also appeared on Property Elevator. Now, this was pushing myself massively out of my comfort zone. I cancelled, they asked me to come back anyway, and I'm so glad that I did, because I'm now in a network of other people. John Howard actually gave me an opportunity to JV with him on the show. And now I have a connection to that world of investors as well. I also made connections with other charities and have now become a property developing partner for the largest housing association in our area, which is the YMCA. And the opportunities that we're speaking about are mind-blowing. I would never have thought that they would be something I'd be looking at, but I'll come back to that in a minute. And the biggest achievement, really, I suppose, was that I managed to complete and refinance and get tenanted all of my projects. And that is now cash flowing, giving us a profit of £4,500 a month. So what am I currently working on? So I have the property on the left here is a block of 4 one-bed flats, and this has been ongoing since April, as the owner is constantly away and is yet again away in Spain. However, this came to me because I sent a letter to the landlord of the property on the right-hand side, which is a 6-bed HMO. And that property has a garden at the back with some potential planning uplift. And the owner, when I spoke to him, said the neighbour was also interested in selling the garden. So when I had a chat with him, he asked if I'd be interested in the actual block of flats, which of course I was. After a number of months of back and forth, we've actually negotiated a purchase lease option for 3 years. And now we've actually done it as a joint venture. So this means that after the mortgage costs are paid, I don't have to pay any other funds other than a share of the profits. So that means if we have a quiet month, then I'm not obligated to have to then find the rest of the lease money. So actually it takes the pressure off, and certainly with this is going to be used as serviced accommodation. So it mitigates some of the risk. I've agreed a purchase price of 500,000, and we've got the HOT, the head of terms, which are now signed. So I'm just waiting for him to come back from holiday. However, the property has got tenants in, and they've recently just signed new ASTs. So we are going to have to wait for those ASTs to expire before we can proceed with the plan. Great thing about this property is it's really close to the hospital. It's within walking distance, and it has off-road parking as well. So we'll appeal to both visitors to the hospital as well as consultants visiting as well. This will generate an income of 3,565, which will be split at 70% occupancy, and at 100% occupancy will generate over £6,000 a month. And that's after 15% OTA costs as well as 15% management costs. So that's pure profit. The next property that is in the pipeline is this block of flats, which is in the Forest of Dean. It's a group of 1 and 2 bed flats, and I finally just found out that this is all one freehold, so prime for title splitting. It originally sold earlier this year for 525,000, but came back onto the market, and then sadly the owner has also passed away. So now it's in probate, and it's a real problem property. The executors can't evict the tenants, and they want to sell the property. So they've agreed a purchase price of £350,000, which I'll be purchasing with JV partners. And that will be bought for cash so that we can sit on it for a while to go through the new AST process, then serve Section 21s to then get vacant possession. Cost of works for this, including interest on loans, is 350,000, and the GDV is between 930 and 960,000. So currently there are a number of exits, but the idea would be to potentially sell half and keep half. That will still get all money out, and then a potential profit of around 150,000, which will be split. And then the income generated is exactly the same as the ones in Gloucester. So so we get all the money out, so that's an infinite return. And then the ones that I spoke about earlier, they're 4 2-bed bungalows, and I'm going back in with an offer of 580,000 on a vendor finance deal. And I'm really hoping that I can adapt these for accessible living. And the GDV on this is looking pretty good as well, but obviously who knows where the market's going to be, but there's enough in it to make it viable. And this has multiple exits. We can use this for supported living, service accommodation, single lets, or we could flip and do a mixed strategy. So what does my future hold? I'm really passionate at the moment about developing and producing accessible housing for wheelchair users, the private rental sector and serviced accommodation, as well as providing housing onto the market for owner buyers. There's a massive shortage of this sector, and there is a huge opportunity, and we as developers should be doing as much as we can to provide accessible housing. We also have an opportunity to develop OSM, so modular build properties for emergency housing for displaced families. And when I said earlier about the opportunities with regards to the connections to this charity, this is what I'm talking about. We've already got funding that's ready to go. Now it's just a case of finding the right land. We've already got the OSM companies involved who are really excited and have provided all of the information we need. So there's a real opportunity for this, and I'm really excited about working with the charity on this. And then I'm looking at larger multiple units and developments such as this one. This is the one that I missed out on, but this is now the type of project that I'm looking at. You know, I went in straight with an offer of 1 million. And I would never, ever, ever, ever have dreamed about going for these sorts of properties, not in a million years, not even last year. So basically my top tips are follow up, build those relationships with the agents. A number of these deals have come to me off market from agents because of the time and the efforts that I've made with regards to those relationships. Raising your profile, it really works. It's scary sometimes and you have to push yourself, but it really does provide those opportunities. Keep your pipeline full. This is the mistake I made at the beginning of the year. I had the deal with 5 houses that the supported living charity were taking, and then the market moved. and the deal just didn't work. And I'd been focusing so hard on that deal, thinking this is the deal, this is going to answer all of my prayers. And I hadn't been working on keeping the pipeline full. So I felt like halfway through the year, I was basically starting again. Systemize, I cannot recommend having a VA enough. And understand your why, and I have to revisit it quite often to keep me on track. Don't get despondent. If things go wrong, don't worry about it. There's plenty of other opportunities. And the final thing is just trust and follow the process. And that's my presentation.
I do hope you got massive value from watching that inspirational case study. Hope you took lots of notes and start using some of the hints and tips in your property investing journey. Now, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever we bring out new content and training that's going to help you be a more successful investor. If you got any comments, just list those below, and I'll come back and answer as many as I can. And by the way, there's going to be a link below for you to get some further training so you can find out how you can get the kind of results we've just been talking about in this interview. As ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. See you in the next video we've lined up for you.